Welcome to Buckets, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. I'm joined by my good buddy, my friend, my colleague, the NBA futures analyst for Action Network. You can catch him on the Action Network podcast all throughout the week. Catch his content at Action Network. Brandon Anderson at Wheaton Brando on Twitter and in the Action Network app. This is your Western Conference betting preview for 2025-26 in the NBA. Today, we're going to go over each team, sometimes briefly, sometimes in depth, because it depends on how much value we think there is in both talking about it and betting on it. We'll give you best bets throughout the episode, so you're going to have lots of stuff to bet on, but you're going to get really in the weeds on how to determine value. You're going to hear what my projections are, where Brandon has these teams at. We've got a lot of discrepancies. We've got some stuff we're a little bit the same on. We got some interesting stuff to talk about, and we're excited to get into it. You can find all of our bets in the award-winning Action Network app. It's the best way for you to track your bets. And if you sign up for Action Pro, you're going to get stuff like Brandon's futures instantaneously before everybody slams it, because they know how good he is when you look back at his futures performance. It's absolutely incredible. Brandon always crushes these futures in both NFL and NBA. He does manage to outdo me despite him being distracted with football for 6 months out of the year, or for 3 months out of the year, which drives me absolutely fucking batshit insane. That's how good he is. You're going to want to check it out. Make sure that you follow him in the Action Network app and sign up for Action Pro. We will go through everything today. If you're watching on youtube.com/the Action Network, appreciate you guys joining us. Give us a like and subscribe. If you're listening on podcasts, you hear every single podcast you listen to, give us the 5-star review. These things help us so much. They help out a ton. This podcast is a labor of love, and the guys put in a ton of work on this, nobody more than Brandon, in terms of trying to bring you the best content that we can every single night. We appreciate if you can just take a few seconds and give me a review, because it's the best way to indicate feedback and try and grow the popularity of the show. Okay, Brandon, we're going to start here. You have ordered these teams from a tier system from the bottom to the top. And we're going to talk about some of them in detail. Some of them we're going to skip over. Are you ready to begin in the Western Conference?
Yeah, these are our combined power rankings, effectively. That's your ranking, my ranking, just averaged out. And so we'll go 15-1. We will kind of zoom past a couple of these teams at the bottom. I'm interested that the West, to me, is a bit more predictable than the East, which is not usually how I feel about the conferences. I ended up with a lot more East bets, teams I felt different than consensus on, and fewer on the West, but more interesting ones on the West, more kind of long-term title futures and whatnot. We got an hour. We got a lot of teams to talk about. Let's get into it.
Okay. We're going to start with the Utah Jazz. Those firecracker Utah Jazz, who are at the very bottom of this. Their win total is 18.5. There's been no movement from open to close. They're still at 18.5. It's a rare team to start with a win total below 20. I don't have much on this. I have them up for my overall projection on this team. I've got two power ratings. I've got one that's like their neutral power rating, and the other is schedule adjusted. I've got them for 17 wins power rated and 13.8 when factoring in schedule. Welcome to the Western Conference. They seem transparently like they're going to tank. They seem transparently like Lauri Markkanen is going to be traded. I see no reason to get involved in this because the number is so low. I don't really want to get in on this, but do you have any quick thoughts on the Utah Jazz?
Yeah, basically the same. This to me is by far the worst team in the league in the better conference, which makes it even worse. I have them projected at -11 net rating, which would project to an 11-win season. Teams don't ever finish that low. Like the outliers move back toward the middle. So probably that's more like a 17. I can't play this. Like the number is so low that I'm sure history would say you probably go over a number this low. I don't think there's just no value. Like worst team in the league, worst record, number one pick, all that stuff makes sense, but it's all baked into the numbers already. It's a bad team. They're not going to be good. Next.
Yeah. By the way, teams with a win total under 20 since 2011-12, 4-1 to the over. I like Isaiah Collier a lot. That's my final thing to say on that. I like Isaiah Collier a lot. And Ace Bailey is something to keep an eye on as well. Oh boy, New Orleans Pelicans. The average in the market on this is 30.75. This is down about a half win from where we opened. You have a good question here, which is what's the best scenario for Zion and the Pels this season?
So I have the Pelicans bottom 7 offense and defense. We take last year's team, and it's like, okay, the impetus for this question for me was, okay, but what if Zion, I think I might call him Ozion this year with the Ozempic program clearly working out for him. What if Ozion is awesome? What if he's all the things we thought? And what was crazy to me, non-watcher of basketball for NFL season I looked back and I was like, wait, Zion was pretty good last year and played a bunch and was really good. And they were terrible. They were so bad even with Zion. And now they lost in some combination McCollum and DeJounte and Ingram, replaced by Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen. Oof, that's not going to be great for this year. Not even about projection long term on those guys. I love Trey Murphy as much as anybody, but you can't make a team with two guys. You have no center. You're going to get a lot of touches from Queen and Fears and, frankly, Jordan Poole, who I know was good last year, but still Jordan Poole. To me, this is a bet. I'm going to take the under 31.5. I just feel like this team, even in a good Zion year, even in a really good Zion year, still I don't even see how they contend play-in, let alone beyond that. The West is too loaded, and there's too much that can go wrong on this team. Too many touches for abject bad players right now.
I always battle with these spots because there's the impetus for me to always give my best and most honest and most accurate analysis I can to the listener. And there's also the fact that I don't want you to be able to make fun of me for doing something stupid. And I'm always at odds with those two kind of things. What I will say, I project this team for 26. Much like the Sixers, because of the injuries, it's impossible for me to get an accurate projection on them. I gave them a healthy bump for not tanking. I gave them a healthy bump for all these players getting back healthy, supposedly. I gave them all these kind of things, and I still wind up pitifully low because I don't think that number is accurate. And there's a trickle-down effect to the schedule impacted power rating on this, because if I'm basing everything on the schedule off of the power ratings, and the power rating is inherently off because I can't get an accurate number on injuries, that has a trickle effect through every game that they play. I will say, you said they have no center. Eve Messi, Kevon Looney, even if Queen's nothing, I like their center lineup quite a bit. There are pathways here for this team to be pretty good, but I talked about those earlier this week on our different episodes. When I took most improved player for Trey Murphy III, that's what this bet is. If they go over, I think Trey Murphy III is a most improved player candidate. And so that to me is the only way to bet this, because you're getting a huge long number, great return on it. I will say, there is no way that the Pelicans are going to be a Western Conference playoff contender unless Trey Murphy has an outstanding season. If he doesn't have enough to be a most improved player, fine. But there is no world where Trey Murphy struggles and the Pelicans are good.
Agreed.
So those are kind of tied there. We'll move on from the Pelicans. I don't want any part of betting them either, because there is talent there. You have tier 4. Even the play-in is a stretch, which, well, I disagree, sir, because we're going to start with the Phoenix Suns. Win total, 31 in the market. This one has gone, if I check, it's gone up by a half a win since the open, unsurprisingly to me. As we kind of look at this, we will start our real kind of in-depth. I will ask you, we always do 10 words to discuss, to kind of set the tone for how we feel about this team. What are the 10 words for you for the Phoenix Suns?
Book Dylan and Jalen Green. What could possibly go wrong?
Harsh but fair. Mine is my 10 words are the team equivalent of I'm in love with a stripper. That's how I feel about this team. Because I am absolutely in love with it, and I will have a best bet on this team. Let's talk about, okay, they moved Kevin Durant. They let go of Bradley. They waived Bradley Beal. They've cleaned house from the failures of last year. Ishbia has talked a lot about wanting to set a new kind of culture in place. They move away from established championship coaches and Frank Vogel and Mike Budenholzer, and they hire Jordan Ott. Expectations are obviously lower for this team, and they are now in a position where they are starting not over, but they are definitely this is an entirely new team. It is a lot of young guys. They are built on athleticism and physicality rather than skill and prowess and star power. There are about 1 billion players on this team that I like compared to how they're viewed. This is not a casual team. Like, you got to be a league pass sicko to know a lot of these guys. But I think that they're going to look a lot better in a year's time. There's no real, I don't think, impetus for them to tank here. They are going to try and be competitive. They will attempt to be good. And so all of those things are in play. What do you like about the Phoenix Suns?
Yeah, they can't tank. They don't have their pick anyways.
Exactly.
What I like most, I find myself intrigued by this team. If this was an East team, I think I'd be a little more interested in a play-in or maybe a bit of a push there. It's tough being in the West. I'm intrigued by Jordan Ott. So he comes over. First I was like, oh, okay, the MSU guy, cool. Oh, I understand what happened here. But rapid rise, he comes over from Cleveland. And everything, like, I know very little personally from him, but what I read is here's what Jordan Ott likes. Fast pace, heavy movement, lots of offensive rebounds, lots of threes, all the stuff that Cleveland did really well last year, which, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but the Cavs were the number one offense in the NBA. So that seems good. And this is the roster you want to go all in on the offense with. I actually have this team surprised myself with this. I have them like above average offensively. I think they could be a candidate for a sleeper top 10 offense. If I'm going to like Devin Booker, I have to like him doing more. I want more Devin Booker, more ball in his hands. I think that's going to look for them in the past. Much as I have dumped on him for his career, you and I both, I'm kind of intrigued by Jalen Green with this new start here. He's only 23. Could he take a step here with more of the ball, more responsibility? He's 75-1 for most improved right now. Could he get to like 27, 5, and 5 with him and Booker kind of matching numbers? That to me, you talked about Trey Murphy with the Pelicans. That's this version for the Suns. It's got to be Jalen Green really stepping up, and it's like age 23 for a shooting guard. It might even still be a season or two too early, but like this is how long it was always supposed to take for a player of that type to get this good. I can't get far enough with the team because I think the defense is awful. They don't have point of attack defenders, in my opinion. They don't have centers that I can count on. Malawach, I think, is going to be awful right now if he plays. I know Dylan Brooks, Ryan Dunn, Royce O'Neal, I feel terrible. Those guys have the most thankless jobs cleaning up for everything else. But like I have this as the 29th defense. So even if the offense gets there, I don't think the defense can even get out of like the bottom 10. So you're the Kings now, and you're still like a 500 team, and I can't get that excited.
It's really funny that you say this because their identity is going to be defense. That is like what they are aiming for. I would actually argue pretty strongly against your assessments here. One, we could admit that you've always been pretty solidly anti-Dylan Brooks. I'm pretty sure when that kid came out of the womb, you were like, that kid sucks.
No, I mean, look, Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green, and Devin Booker have been like the trifecta of guys I've hated on for their whole careers. That's where I started with the 10-word thesis. So I realize I'm starting from quite a hole here.
Dylan is a really great defender, and he actually gets better every year and becomes a little bit less erratic as he mellows out as he ages. He still is going to cause too many problems in certain games and get kicked out or start a fight that winds up turning the tide. Like, it's annoying, but it comes with you got to take the good with the bad. Some of the guys that I really like on this team. So Ryan Dunn is a dog. Oso Ighodaro I love Oso Ighodaro. I think that guy he's going to be really good. And all the metrics kind of back up what he's going to be able to bring to the table defensively. Mark Williams, as he matures, is probably going to be a better defensive player. And if you're like, oh, but the injuries, okay. You've got Malawach, who at least has rim protection capability. And if not, you've got Nick Richards, who at least has a body. They are not undersized in that aspect. All you're looking for night to night is like, can you get an aggregate average performance out of your centers? They'll probably be like a little bit below average, but I do think that the perimeter defense can actually be pretty decent. Jalen had the worst defensive EPM of any player on the Rockets last season. So I'm not going to sit here and try and make Jalen out to be a plus defender. What I will say is that Jalen did contribute to good defensive units. He was the worst defender on a great defensive team, but that also means that he's not so bad that he limits a great defensive team from being good enough. There are players in the league that I feel that way about. Devin Booker might be one of them because Devin was really good for about a year, and now it's like he has to reserve his body a little bit. This has to be a bounce back season from Devin Booker. If it's not, then this is going to miss, and that's fine. Some of the other guys that I really like, Jordan Goodwin I know this is a guy like nobody cares about or thinks about. I'm telling you, Jordan Goodwin's got something. Like they took shots, Brandon, on guys that are like, that's what I want to see you do. I hate it when contending teams add guys to take shots on that are never going to get time, because it's like, what's the point? You're wasting a guy that needs the opportunity and you're never going to trust him. And teams like this tend to go the other way, where they're like, oh, we need veterans. We need guys that we know that can play. No, you need to take shots here. You need to be like, holy crap, we found a guy on a minimum contract that's playing like a mid-level exception. Jordan Goodwin can be that type of player for them. Nigel Hayes-Davis, another dog. Isaiah Livers, another dog. They have guys on this team, and I really do think that they're going to be competitive. Now, this is all to hype up a team that I'm not going to sit here and act like is going to win 45 games and be the 6th seed. I have them projected. Well, before we get there, let's talk about what you don't like. You talked about the defense. Is there anything else on this team outside of just the defense is going to suck that you don't like about it?
The defense was my don't like section. What do you not like about this team?
I think one of the things that so continuity is going to be a problem. This is a rookie head coach with a roster that was kind of put together on the fly, and that's always pretty rough. If they're trying to instill a new defensive mindset, what that can often mean is miscommunications. Like, continuity breeds better communication and better synergy. It can breed staleness and lack of effort. So you have to always find the middle point between those two extremes. But this is a very new team. It's a very young team. And like, look, my biggest thing is like Jalen Green. Like, your position, I think very fairly, is like, if they're going to be good, Jalen Green has to be good. And I don't think Jalen Green's going to be good. My position is, I can see them being good without Jalen Green being good. And if I'm wrong, if it's like, you can't be good unless Jalen's good, they're screwed. I don't like the idea of him starting at point guard. I think they're going to abandon that by midseason. I wouldn't be surprised if Colin Gillespie is starting and they're running Gillespie with Booker and Jalen at 3. And if you're like, that's too small and too defensively like limited, entirely possible. This is why I think long term, and I've said this for 2 years, I think Jalen Green's long term is as a bench player. Like, Jalen Green is a 6th man of the year candidate by the time that he's 27. That's where his career is
headed. What I've always thought.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, is that we were only doing short term, and so that's where I'm stuck, is like, even the centers you mentioned, I don't think aggregate get to a plus defender. So this year you're going to play Green and Booker, and you're going to play a below average center, even if it's not a bad center. So you're 3 bad defenders, and now like, the wing defenders are good on the team. You can't play defense 2-on-5. Book played great defense on Team USA. Green has been on good defenses, but you can be the worst defender on a team. You can't have 2 of those guys and not have the center to clean it up.
Right.
So maybe it's not 29th, but I just have a hard time, sketching out what makes this even like a league average defense. So I have this team at 30 wins. Again, in the East, that would put you in the play-in race for me. Under 31.5, it's a pass for me. Here's my best bet for this team. And it's sort of like a creative best bet because I had to figure it out. So I'm kind of intrigued by the Suns. I'm higher on the offense than I expected. At DraftKings, you can bet which division has the best record overall. This, to me, is the best worst team in a division. Congratulations, Suns fan. It's either you or the Bulls. There's no like terrible tanking team in this division. It's them and it's other competent teams. I don't think the Suns are a play-in team, but they're close, and no other division has teams like that. So Pacific Division, winningest division, plus 500 at DraftKings is my Suns' best bet.
I actually like that. I like that quite a bit, because it's like, look, even if the Suns just hit it, let's say they hit it on the nose, right? They hit 31 versus a 31.5 number. That's probably going to be higher than a lot of the other, like the Utah Jazz are going to win like 13 maybe.
Right.
Whoever winds up worst in that Southwest division is probably tanking their faces off because everything went sideways. Same kind of deal. Right. So yeah, I like this bet a lot at plus 500. I project them at 37.7 on power rating. Even with schedule adjusted in the Western Conference, I've got them at 35. This is a 3-unit, 3-star best bet for me. I think the Suns are just going to, and like, listen to what I'm saying. 38 wins, not probably going to be like the play-in tournament or be the 10th seed. They're not going to do anything this season. But I think you're going to walk away being like, who was like sneaky kind of tough? The Suns. Like, the Suns were actually like sneaky kind of tough. And a lot of this is built off of, if you pay attention last year, if you looked under the hood of everything going on last year, they weren't that bad. It just felt like it. And I learned a lesson last year in that if it feels like it, you need to not get in on it. Like, you can't be like, yeah, but like in reality, no. If it feels that bad, that's going to impact the team's performance and like how they head. And this is something I think that people do miss, which is if the front office is able to talk to the guys and be like, our locker room's a mess, everyone hates each other, we just need to get out of this season, Kevin Durant's going to be gone. They're not going to rally anybody. They're just going to be like, guys, just get to the end of the season healthy. And that changes like your motivation night to night. But I like this team a lot. I think that they will go over. I don't want to like I might look at a 40 plus. I'm always torn on these because like last year is a great example. I've talked about this constantly where I was like, I love the Pistons, but I mean, they're not going to make a playoffs. Yeah. Then they were like 5 seed. So I'm trying to decide like how far I want to go on Phoenix. If I'm absolutely right, I'm not there for this episode. I'm just going to take the 31 and a half, I'm sorry, best bet over.
What, just for context, not that you're betting it, what seed does that put the Suns for you in the West?
I have the Phoenix Suns 10th. They are the last team in the play-in tournament.
Okay.
So
interesting.
I guess I could bet them to like a playoff spot on them. It just feels like, do I really want to be like,
yeah, I mean,
hey,
I think you got to bet play-in. I don't think you want to bet them getting out of the play-in. I don't think you want to bet them getting above the play-in. But I think betting to make the play-in maybe is an angle for you.
Yeah, because it's like I do not think that they're getting top 6, and I do not think that they're going to be one of the worst teams in the conference. And the Suns are plus 370. So I'll go ahead and I will add that. Thank you, Brandon. I will add Suns to make the play-in tournament at plus 370. Portland Trailblazers. 34 and a half. This is up a full win from where the open was. Interesting kind of spot here. This is going to be, I think, a fun one. What's your 10 words on the Portland Trailblazers?
So pun intended on the start of this, but no offense, but Blazers are all in on their defensive identity.
You make me sad. Mine is, are we absolutely positively sure Chauncey is a good coach?
Crickets.
Yeah, that's my concern here. Let's get into it. What do you like? Well, give me some big picture thoughts on the Blazers, and then we can talk about what you like and dislike.
I'm not really sure what this team is doing. That's the big picture. So we're kind of running it back, I guess, but we swapped out Simons for Drew Holiday. I have in my notes, kept Billups, ? If that helps answer your question. Cut Ayton, ? Signed Dame, ? Like, what's happening? It sort of felt like we built this roster to empower Scoot Henderson and move forward, only now Scoot Henderson is hurt to start the season, so that's not a thing. They do owe their outgoing pick, top 14 protected, 3 years. I don't think that's really in play. I think this is, the sort of team that would be happy to extinguish that pick were they to make the playoffs. They'd be like, great, get that out of here. Let's get rid of the pick problem. What I like, of course, is the defense. So that's my thesis is this is the opposite of the Suns. All defense, no offense. Defense, January 9th, 19th forward. They were the third best defense in the league. They were 23 and 18 in that stretch. We know about March basketball, all that, but the numbers are really good. The turnovers forced went up to third overall. Defensive rebounding went from dead last to 20th. Defensive effective field goal went from 27th to 6th. Okay, great. We got defenders on this team. Donovan Clingan was really good. Tumani Kamara was awesome, made all defense. Time Lord, if he plays. Tybal, if he plays. And now Drew Holiday on top of it. Like, I don't know how you're going to score, but I think the defense is really good. And I guess I have to give Billups some credit. Like, somebody on the coaching staff is coaching the defense there. Other thing I like, I got to be honest. This is just, I'm admitting stupidity here. I was like, oh man, I found a great candidate for most improved. I do all my stuff. And then I look up the odds after and I was like, nobody knows about Denny Avdia. Let me tell you about this guy. March 1st forward, 25, 10, and 5. Wow, Denny Avdia, what a great candidate. And he's like 4th in the odds. So he's not a great candidate. I don't want the odds. But I don't know if you know this. He's from Israel. He played great at Euroball this summer. I found all this great stuff about Denny Avdia. Turns out everyone else has been watching Denny Avdia. But I like him. He's a good player. He's underrated. They got a good deal adding him. I like the defense. Again, fully would be in on this team if they were in the East. I just can't, how I love my team's defense as the floor in the regular season. It's just the West is so tough.
Yeah. So that's actually a really good kind of lead into where I'm at with this team. I think Avdia is good. I continue. It's hard for me to get to like, yeah, Denny Avdia is like a serious, going to be like a top 30 player, maybe top 20 by next season. That's where I start to be like, really? Like, really? Yeah. Shaden Sharp has had a phenomenal preseason, which makes me a little encouraged. Want to see more Hansen Yang. I've been high on Donovan Klingen. When that kid learns how not to foul, like nobody noticed his block rate last season. It drove me nuts. I was like, Donovan Klingen blocks. He either blocks you or fouls you every play. As he gets better,
it's like the baseball player. That's like the 3 true outcomes. It's like block, foul, or rebound. That's the only things he's doing.
Yes. You know, and like I want to believe in Scoot. We were so high on him as a rookie coming in. Whoops. The injury is not great there. I don't love their positional versatility. They've got too many centers, and yet Robert Williams is hurt again. I can't get there. I have them projected. So here's what's funny. I have them projected 34.5 is the number. I have them projected power rating wise at 37.4 over. But when you factor in the Western Conference schedule, they drop to 34.6 right on the dot of the number. So I was glad that I didn't come under because I was like, I really don't want to bet against the Blazers here. I'm not going to bet on the over. I will say that early on, even with the odds being shortened, I will look for both Denny and Shaden Sharp. If they get off to a hot start, that's where I will try and grab MIP. That one you will have to be responsive to. If Denny Avdia, if the Blazers start off 5-2 and Avdia is averaging 20 points a game, that number's going to drop like a rock. So you need to be price sensitive early in the season. We'll try and remind you about it on buckets, but be really looking for, if you have an MIP position and you want to make sure that you build the right portfolio, you need to be price sensitive early on Denny Avdia and potentially Shaden Sharp as well.
Yeah, we don't even know, it seems right now, if Sharp is going to start either. It looks like they're still thinking about Jeremy Grant as well. So keep an eye on that. Yeah, I'm worried about the offense here. You lose Anthony Simons, who I'm not super high on, but I think was easily their best offensive player last year. They get a lot of offensive rebounds, which they should continue with their lineups, but that's just not, this is like Knicks light, the way that they used to be with the offensive rebounds and not a lot else. So I came away projecting them actually right now at 39 wins. So I should be over in bet. I'm going to be over in lean, and here's why. You mentioned Chauncey at the top. Chauncey is 3-0 to the under by 10.8 wins this season. How do you have your job at 3-0 to the under by double digits on a team we don't have expectations for? He's under by 8.5, 6.5, and 17.5. So I was like, well, under 30.5 at DraftKings is plus 215. The West is loaded. That's only 4 wins below the total, and he's gone under by 1,000 all the other years. Like, maybe you just do that out of Chauncey principle, but like, I believe in the defense. If you think the defense is like good but not great, like 12th best, you should take that bet because the offense isn't going to be good, and I think it's just not quite enough in the West.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to stay away from it for now. Let's move to the Dallas Mavericks. We have ranked 11th in our power ratings. Number is 40, down about a half win from the open. And you have a question here. If both of us have Dallas 11 just outside of the play-in, who is more? Are they more likely to finish 7th or 13th?
So I don't know the answer to this question. Initially I had a 6th or 14th, and I was like, 14 is too low. They're not going to be that low. I think still given the framing, I have to say 7th. For a bit here, I got intrigued by the defense. Mike Vogel is the coach that unlocked Anthony Davis at the 4 as the number 1 defense. So, okay, there's a lot of size here. There's a lot of defensive potential. Cooper Flagg is a good defender. I think he'll be a good defender already in the NBA. There's no Kyrie, and I don't think he's coming back. So you drop from Luka and Kyrie to D'Lo and Flagg. It doesn't matter how much I like those guys. It's just a huge drop-off. I don't like the spacing. I don't like the bench on the team. It doesn't make sense to me. So it's just kind of a stay-away team. But if I had to pick 7th or 13th, I guess the defense was good enough, and Brow stayed healthy, so 7th. But it's just, it's a team that I can't predict right now.
Yeah, I think that they are much closer to 13th. So I'm not going to bet on this. And the reason I'm not going to bet on it is because this is one of those where I feel like I'm missing something, where Dallas fans are very confident and everybody's like, yeah, they could contend for blah, 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 blah. And I look at this roster and I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? D'Angelo Russell's your point guard. So here's a good example. I do manual adjustments to power rating based off of stuff like internal development, coaching, like boosts just based off of vibe. Like I leave myself the ability to make these manual power rating adjustments. I don't go outside of certain boundaries, but I do make adjustments. I gave them 2 because I was like, they were really banged up last year. And that's factoring, by the way, I gave them like Anthony Davis full season. Like that's on top of that. Is I gave him Anthony Davis full season and then gave him 2 more for the injuries that they had. A good example of this is like Cooper Flagg, where everybody's like, but what about Cooper Flagg? And my problem is, historically, rookies are a negative net rating player because they don't know what they're doing. They just don't know. They don't know what they don't know. Cooper's got to learn how to play in the NBA. Jim Turvey, when we were arguing about this, made a really good point, which is like, let's look at the last prospect who was as widely regarded as Cooper outside of Wemby, because Wemby's his own thing. And it was Zion. And Zion was a plus net rating player in his rookie season. So he could be the difference here. If you think that highly of Cooper Flagg, and bear in mind that the fact that Cooper walked into Team USA practice and gave them buckets sits very highly with me. And I'm still like, I don't know, man. Across 82 games, the most games that you've ever played as a kid, coming in with this kind of expectation, playing on a veteran team. All these guys have expectations and standards and careers and like are business oriented. I just don't think I can't give them a significant bump for Cooper. I just can't do it. If you think that he is worth that, by all means, I get it. Defensively, one of the things that slipped under the radar last year, Daniel Gafford, a lot of those numbers cratered. And it's like, well, everybody was hurt. Okay, but systemically, you should be able to hold up. This is always my thing. If you have a good system around you and you are that type of player that protects the rim, there should not be this absolute massive drop-off for you defensively. And we saw it not after the injuries, throughout the course of the season for both him and Lively. D'Angelo Russell's their point guard. That's it. If you think Kyrie Irving's coming back, I totally get going with the over. I do not. Yeah, I believe that he has been very clear in his statements. Mavs fans are like, I don't know, I think he can. And like Jim Turvey's doing this where he's like, I think Kyrie's coming back. I'm like, oh, cool. So you've never paid attention to anything in Kyrie Irving's career. Cool. Like Kyrie's a baller, but he's not going to rush back from injury. I can't get there. This is a very impassioned case for me not to make a play, Brandon. I cannot do it. I have this team as a very, very, very bad team. And the adjusted, like, new version of our power ratings, or my power ratings that I put together with a key adjustment I told you about, they actually do slide to 14th or 13th. Wow. I'm sorry. So I do not think they're going to be good. I have a 36.6 power rating, 35 on the schedule. I do not like them. I'm not so confident that I'll bet on it, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, Gafford Lively falling off, I think, was always going to be a thing. Losing Luka as well. Like, that was always an inflated center duo that you got away with Luka that you don't get away with anymore, because guess what? You traded Luka away. Live with it now. So I think if you want to invest in Mavs, I think it has to be Cooper Flagg. And the fun part is, at DraftKings and most other books, there's all sorts of Cooper Flagg props you can do. So I think if you want to bet on the Mavericks, you just bet on Cooper. And I'm going to use that to set up a nice transition into our next team, which I feel mostly the same way about, Matt.
Okay, what is that next team, Brandon?
It's the Spurs, and my 10-word thesis is this. Wemby, 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 3 more Wembys.
Excellent. Number on the San Antonio Spurs is 44. It's up about a half win from the open. My 10 words are love Wemby and absolutely hate the rest of this team. That's where I am at. Give us a big picture look at the Spurs and what you like about them.
Yeah, so 2 lottery picks. So you bring in Dylan Harper and Carter Bryant. You're going to get a whole season now, presumably, of De'Aaron Fox. Whole season asterisk, because he's already hurt to start the season. You're hopefully going to get more games from Wemby. I would say 25-ish more Wemby games, 40-ish more Fox games. Don't forget, Pop is out. So Mitch Johnson, I guess, is what's happening now. I feel, we'll say, whelmed by Mitch Johnson. I feel not excited there. I'm kind of with you here. I love Wemby. We know last year this was my like super escalator team and I was all in. So I feel like I should just be running it back. This team almost still hit the over, even though everything went wrong. They lost Wemby, they lost Pop, everything, and it still got pretty close on the win total. That's kind of a successful season, all things considered. But I don't I don't love the roster either. I feel to me like the Spurs are in long-term asset collection mode and trying to figure out what are we building and who fits with Wemby. And I think this is a year to find out, but I don't think this is the year they're going to have answers yet. So I think we probably see somewhat similar on this team. What do you like about the Spurs?
Wembanyama. I like Wembanyama very much. I like their point guards when they're healthy, even though they lost Chris Paul, who was one of their most impactful players last season. I like the Luke Cornett ad. I think that combo is going to be really good together. I think Wemby and Cornett are going to pair very well together. In preseason, they're running a lot of actions to get Wembanyama on short rolls towards the basket with slips and things like that. And he's such a good passer that he's able to dish to Cornett for dunks and things like that, because Cornett's a really great finisher. That was the thing that he built the most on in Boston, was like, hey, if you just learn how to cut 3 steps and dunk it, you're going to have like an incredible advanced metric impact. And he did. He was one of the best pick and roll players in the league last season, even without a team that runs pick and roll a lot, because he was so good at the very limited thing that he does. I like that. I still like Jeremy Sohan. I'll always like Jeremy Sohan and wait for him to make the leap. I don't mind Mitch. I don't have enough of an idea of who he is as a coach to have like a strong feeling about him. You said you were whelmed by him. I think that's accurate. Is like, I'm not underwhelmed. I'm not like, ooh, I have questions. I'm just kind of like, seems fine. Maybe that'll change this year, but I am not that concerned. And that's pretty much it for things I like about the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, with Mitch, I guess for me, it just I worry it feels a little nepotistic. Like I would have liked to see like an actual coaching search this offseason. And so what I don't like about the team is you lose Pop and you lose CP3 all at once. That's a lot of win culture. That is a lot of coaching on and off the court. Like we've got a lot of history that shows what happens to Chris Paul teams after he leaves. And I know he's not what he once was, but the drop off is huge on those teams. And now we get left with Fox, Harper, Castle, which I don't really buy as a trio. We talked about that back on draft night. As like, is this the right fit? What do you do? Well, I think it is the right pick for them. You take the talent, but you got to figure it out. And I don't know they'll figure it out. I like Sohan as well. I like Carter Bryant a lot, but I don't think he's going to play this season because he's buried behind other dudes like Keldon Johnson, which like Keldon's just not a player. Like Keldon's just not a great help. He's not a positive defender. The guards on this team are not positive. So this has to be a defense identity team because of Wemby, but I don't think he's going to get a lot of help. And guys like Sohan or Bryant, I think, are kind of buried in the rotation and not going to help out as well. I like Olynyk and Cornett being around. I like kind of the balance, having a little more bigs there. Typically, a player like Wemby, as good as he is, and this is, look, we're both in on him. Last year I talked about like, what if you have the one mega superstar and no help around it? Typically, guys like that from my notes from last year, Kareem for a while, Dwayne Wade early career, Kevin Garnett, David Robinson, those are typically like 40 to 45 win teams, 500-ish teams that don't have much help. I do think if Wemby plays enough, that's probably about where this ends up. The problem is it's kind of already been priced in now. Like the over-under at 44.5. Last year I tried to get ahead of it, and it was like 10 below that, I think. Yeah, last year was 35.5. They ended up 1.5 wins below. Why is this 9 higher now? Like Wemby isn't like markedly better than it was last year, and the rest of the roster has not improved anywhere near 9 wins, if at all. So my numbers say over. I'm basically right at the number. I have 44 wins versus 44.5, but 34 to 38 wins in 6 of the last 8 seasons. I can't get excited to invest in the team. I don't mind a 5-1 division play here because of the Rockets, frankly. I'm looking for other not Rockets teams. We'll get back to them soon. I know you're kind of in a similar spot. But like I said with the Mavs, a Spurs bet to me is just a Wemby bet. And again, at DraftKings and every other book, they got a billion different Wemby bets. So if you like that, just bet that. And by the way, a little teaser for you. Later this week, Matt and I will be recording the players you need to bet on this season, and I will have for you some Wemby bets and some Cooper Flag bets, and that's how I think you invest in this team.
I'm 100% with you. I should be running to the app to be betting against them and betting their under. I have 37 wins, 34 on the schedule.
Wow.
I will not, because What is it? I'm trying to remember the guy from Usual Suspects that said it, that I don't believe in God, but I'm afraid of him. Well, I believe in God. And the only thing that scares me is Victor Wembanyama. So Wembanyama 18-1 MVP is my only bet on the San Antonio Spurs. I will leave that alone. Two guys I do want to shout out, though, Julian Champagny, and I want to be the first on this wagon, David Jones-Garcia. Their two-way player, he's good.
He was so good at Summer League. He was so good. But both Champagnes are really good. I was really impressed with both of them. The other one on Washington, I was like, man, where'd these guys come from?
Okay, the Memphis Grizzlies, we have this as like kind of a skip, but I think it's going to be tough because I'm probably going to want to say a little bit more about them. 40.25 is their average right now in the market. That's down about a half win. Makes sense. I'm surprised it's not lower considering their entire big man rotation is out. Quick thoughts on the Memphis Grizzlies.
I'm just a little worried. Like they seem relatively average overall. I have them at 16th offense, 15th defense. Losing Bane, he wasn't great last year, but it's still losing Bane for bad offense in KCP. Losing Taylor Jenkins is my real worry here. Taylor Jenkins was so good, and we bet this team year after year because of Taylor Jenkins. So I don't know what Thomas Iasalo is going to be. I don't know what Ja is anymore. So I can't get too excited in the ceiling because I thought Taylor Jenkins was the ceiling. And I look, it was time for a change. That's not me making a judgment on that. But as far as like over under and that sort of thing, that was what we liked here. I again will say 15-1 division. I'll bet that because Rockets minus 250 is an absurd price. And we'll get back to Rockets on that. That's not a Grizz bet. It's a Rockets bet. I think it's like a play-in team. And maybe if they're healthy, they're above that. But it's to me, it's just a tough team to predict. So I can't go too far with them.
I have him 52.4 on power rating, 53.7 on schedule. I'm not betting them. I can't do like that number, by the way, incorporates the injuries. That's after I make the injury adjustments. And I'm like, bad model. You're bad. You should feel bad. Because I can't do this with their entire front court out. I can't do it. I cannot do that to start the season. Even if they're all going to be back by Thanksgiving, I cannot do it. So I'm holding off, which is really annoying. If you could just be like, hey, I came from the future. The Grizzlies have a good injury here. Nobody gets hurt. Great. I'm in. I can't do it. Yeah. I'm not going to do it. I will join you on 15-1 to win the division, though, because that number is ridiculous.
Well, and I think we notice in the NBA, too, and I guess happening in the NFL as well, that there are certain teams that just get hurt every year. And maybe the Grizzlies are just the 49ers. And at some point, injuries continue and bodies are broken. And it is actually more likely for the injury-riddled teams to stay injury-riddled than to regress to the healthy mean. That bodies don't regress to the mean. Bodies, Matt, you and I are in our 40s. Bodies don't regress to the mean. Bodies stay broken.
Yeah. This is Jim Trevor's argument about the Grizzlies, that there's something wrong with the training staff. And I was like, no, because like it's all these different things. There's not one thing that hurts them. But at this point, I'm just like, either Jim's right or they're cursed. I don't know. Get the Etsy witches involved. Let's go to the Kings. 36.25, down about a quarter of a win from the open. There has been significant sharp movement at some books on the over. That's what's interesting is Fiddle talked about that. Some books have taken a lot of money on the over on the Kings. The aggregate is down about a half win or a quarter win. So you put this note in there. I think it's great. They're not the most interesting team to talk about running it back after play-in pushes. But you've got a best bet here on a Kings over?
Kings over. Yeah, it's weird. I noticed also what you talked about with Fiddle, that the books are very different here. So over 34.5. I know it's higher at some books. Look, I project them anywhere from 37 to 45 wins. I have them basically playing a 500 ball. They're super boring to me. I don't care. I don't want to watch. They're this year's Heat, just in that sort of version of the team. But it's Levine, it's DeMar, Sabonis. I don't like them together, but there's a lot of talent there. And there's floor. I don't believe in the ceiling, but I actually have this as a top 5 offense. And they're not that, like last year they were 7th. 3 years ago they were 1st. They were 13th in between. If your offense is that good and you have Levine, DeMar, and Sabonis, you're going to be fine. And we know like this is Bulls West. They're going to push for the postseason. They're going to want to make the play-in. 34.5 is too low. Even in the West, this is a decent team. So it's not interesting, but I'll bet the over.
I'm going to join you. It's a 1-unit play for me, 1 star. I have him at 39. I think they're going to be pretty good. I think Domantas Sabonis gets traded mid-season. So if you want a reason to avoid it, that's a good one. I think they might be able to get over it even if they trade him. It would not surprise me if it was like the Kings traded Domantas Sabonis and got better. Not that Sabonis sucks, just that like that's the Kings, man. They need to make several trades. I think on this roster, they need to trade DeRozan, and if Sabonis wants out, they need to capitalize on it. But I would not be surprised if they do. Like, look, if they do that, especially if they trade DeMar DeRozan in the first month of the season, I would immediately bet Keegan Murray most improved player. That would be the first thing I did. Okay, so weirdly, we like the Kings because of the number. Los Angeles Lakers. Oh boy, 48.2. Up from about zero. They're up about a seventh of 0.7 wins from open. What's your 10 words on the Lakers?
Another underwhelming, overrated Lakers roster that doesn't make any sense. I am under on the Lakers for the bajillionth straight season. It's a bet under 48.5.
Okay, you do know that they went over by 6.5 wins last season, yes?
We'll get there.
Okay. Mine are don't love them, don't hate them. The number's right. Luka MVP? That's all I got. What do you think about the big picture with the Lakers? Tell me what you like and don't like about them. Give me both.
Yeah, it's just to me, it's the same old LeBron stuff. Like, we're just kind of adding random pieces that don't make a lot of sense to the roster. So now I guess we're in on DeAndre Ayton, and I guess Marcus Smart is still a thing, and everyone's excited about Jake LaRavia, who I don't even know if is like a positive rotation player. Luka, obviously you get more Luka this year, but you get less Anthony Davis. I don't think that's really additive in a regular season sense. Like, you're basically replacing 40 games of Luka with 42 lost from Davis. You lose DFS, D'Lo, and Christie that are actual like decent, somewhat decent depth there. And now you get LeBron, who is coming off his worst year since his rookie season and starting his NBA record 23rd season injured. Not great, Bob. Like, I don't want LeBron starting the year hurt. We've already seen him in the last couple of years have stretches where he's very average by LeBron standards. The old LeBron peak is not there anymore. A version of a peak is still there, but there are long stretches where it's not happening. The injuries, father time is coming even in part for LeBron. So it's not great that I included in the notes here. They do have their pick if they need to tank. Not great if that has to be a note to think about. So I'll jump into what I like. I like the offense. I like the offensive potential because with Luka and LeBron, I think that there's obviously plenty of potential there. But you know that LeBron's offense has never finished top 10 with the Lakers? He's 12th or worse in offensive rating all 5 Lakers seasons there. They've never had Luka before, so I think that they get closer, but it's not great. And I like JJ Redick. I thought JJ did a great job last year. I thought he maximized the team well. I would love to see Luka not be Luka ball this year. What can JJ Redick turn Luka and LeBron and others into? I'm interested in that. Heaven knows we'll be watching a lot of Lakers this year. I just don't know if we'll be watching them that much in May or June.
I see a lot of ways that this team could be good. I wrote about this over the summer that, like, look, if you take the names off the jerseys and you're like, hey, the Lakers added a pick and roll big man and a perimeter defender who can shoot a little bit and a versatile depth guy who does a little bit of everything, Jake LaRavia. And they've got some internal development and more continuity with Luka. That's a pretty good formula. I'm not really worried about the LeBron stuff, in part because I'll just say this. The whole offseason seems like he's not super thrilled with the Lakers. That seems like it's still a tension point, and I don't know. I'm just curious. I think he's hurt. I think he's got sciatica. Hey, man, I'm 43. I get it. But I also just kind of wonder what's kind of going on there. I project him at 48. I don't want anything on this team.
I'm worried about the defense on this team. I think the defense could be really bad. Like, I think bottom quarter of the league and maybe worse. Yep. Anthony Davis was awesome. So you lose Anthony Davis for Luka. That is a huge defensive swing. Luka can play a little bit, but he's not Anthony Davis. They lost Dorian Finney-Smith. I think that's a big loss. And that's a bigger loss than Ayton is a help defensively. Who are the plus defenders on this team? Marcus Smart, maybe, if that's still a thing. LeBron, maybe, if he tries. But if the back is actually a thing, I don't know. Vanderbilt? Bronny James? Like, these are the guys, this is where I'm getting down the roster on the plus defenders. It's not great defensively. So I have this as a top 5 offense, bottom 5 defense. And that basically comes out to a net neutral. And that's why I have them at 42 wins. So let me make the case for the under 48.5. You always want Lakers under. Last year over by 6.5. First time the Lakers have been over by more than a game and a half since 2009. And how did they get over last year, Matt? Well, we remember because we both bet the under. They got Luka for free. That's how. You can't do that every year, even as the Lakers. And by the way, they were an expected 44 wins last year with a win total of 43.5. They won 50, but they got lucky and went way over their expected wins. They've done that 2 years in a row because freaking Lakers have to have everything, apparently. But by expected wins, last 3 years, Lakers 44, 42, and 42. This is just an extremely average regular season team. LeBron, since 2013, which to me is his last elite LeBron MVP year, 9-3 to the under. You want LeBron unders, you want Lakers unders. The tax is always built in for Lakers and LeBron, and now you get a double on this team. Lakers under is always the first line you look at when the win totals pop, and now you get LeBron possibly hurt to start the season. I know that they went over last year. They just go under more often than not, so I'll take the escalator here also. If I have a 500 team and I'm playing the under in the West, Lakers to miss the playoffs, plus 325. I have them in the 8-12 seed in the West. At best, that means that they're probably not getting the 7th seed. So, okay, argument against myself. Shouldn't I bet play-in instead? Do I really want to bet against LeBron and Luka in the play-in getting out? Okay, here's my counter to my counter. Is LeBron and Luka really going to be like, let's go all out and win a play-in so I can get the 8th seed and get demolished by OKC and have that on my career record? How about not? How about if I just get healthy in the offseason, if I'm like the 9 seed at the end of the year? How about we just don't bother with that? So I like the under a lot, as always with the Lakers. I think missing playoffs plus 325, I think that's a real possibility if things go poorly.
I will note that this excludes the 2020 season with the COVID shortened, because their number that season was 50.5. They won 52, including the stoppage. So they were going to breeze over that number in that season, which I think is notable because it's like that's the last time that LeBron had what is probably like a complete roster, which can argue this one isn't, which is fine. I'm just going to be looking for, if they're good, I'll take Luka MVP. I will say the preseason stuff getting a little alarming. Nobody's playing, which is not great for continuity. I am worried enough to definitely not want to bet the over. All right.
Let me just add quickly, because I was not on the MVP episode. I have Luka 3% to win MVP. For my personal model, Luka MVP is just about the single worst futures bet you can make this season.
Okay. Let's go to the big highlight team, which you and I are both lower on, the Houston Rockets. 53.25. This is down 2.25 from open after the Fred VanVleet injury. Dorian Finney-Smith is out to start the season, and I think a lot of people have been like, ooh, I think we got a little ahead of ourselves here early on with the market. What's your 10 words for the Houston Rockets?
Didn't like this before VanVleet injury, hate it more now.
Mine is, it's the little things that can beat you. So I'll talk about the direction. So obviously, like, they're all in for this season, and they're gonna be good. And Amen Thompson, this is like a really funny one because the Jays love Amen Thompson for most improved player. They think it's like this is what's gonna happen, like, because he's awesome, and it can definitely happen. I don't know that he's going to, like, Amen is a guy I think that's going to be like, he might be one of the best players in the league in 3 years, and we see how good he is and how impactful he is, but you've got to you have to do the thing to win the award. The little things here, the ball handlers are having a real problem when teams pressure them because they don't have any. It's Reed and Amen. And so that means that if they get in situations, it's going to have to be like Aaron Holiday playing more and bringing the ball up the court. And then you just get worse because Aaron's good, but he's not as good as the other guys. The drop off from Fred VanVleet in his specific role is pretty significant. They're going to have problems with the other thing that's being noted. The two big lineup is either they score and dominate or they get ran on, because every team is like, if you don't get the rebound, they can't get back up the floor at you. They don't have the speed, especially with what is a bigger lineup overall. Like, keep in mind, like, they're like, Jabari will play with the two bigs sometimes. KD will play with the two bigs sometimes. None of these guys are going to be like sprinting back to cover in transition on guards. So fast, small teams, if they can survive, we'll run on them. And sometimes they'll get murdered because they like just get killed on the glass and get scored on. And those lineups will be big. But this is a lot of inexperience. We've kind of talked about this. I just think that you need to take extreme outcomes here. We'll talk about like one of the best bets that I think is in play there. This isn't a best bet for me on the under at 53.25 in the market. It's a 2-unit bet. It's a 2-star because like they could be really good. I will look for alternate division plays. If Grizzlies can just survive until they get a single front court player back, I'll be very in on them. That's where I'm kind of at on this team. I'll talk about my projection in a second, but that's like all I've got on this team is like, oh, one more thing. I'm sorry. I have to mention this because this will be the third time I've mentioned it this week, and it's in my contract. I get to mention this. They averaged 12.7 3-point makes last season per game. They lost 9.4 of them in trades and injury. They replaced only 4.4 of them with Kevin Durant and Dorian Finney-Smith based off of last season's numbers. This is going to be a 3-point deficit team. They're going to have math problems. And I'm not taking an over a 52.5 on a math problem team. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I feel like, so we know I think about Dylan Brooks. I think Dorian Finney-Smith is a somewhat like for like there. So you kind of, in a weird way, just get to swap in Kevin Durant for Jalen Green, which seems pretty good given my history on Jalen Green, except it's still sort of a shooting guard. And you and I have talked at length with our old colleague Raheem Palmer and others about what does Kevin Durant do to elevate teammates? What does he do to make teammates better? And it hasn't always been a lot. And now you subtract Fred VanVleet with no other addition there. And to me, that's the real problem. So obviously, everyone talks about the defense here. You like the defense. You like the Ime Udoka culture. That's the floor. I'm not sure the defense is quite as high of a floor as everyone thinks. I think Fred VanVleet is a hound dog. I think he's a real loss there. I think Amen Thompson not being on the bench unit is a serious loss defensively. I really worry about the bench magic from this team. I thought that was part of the special sauce was Amen and Tari and everything else just unleashed on dudes. Amen's starting. Duh. He's got to start now. All right, so what's the bench then? It's Aaron Holiday, Dorian Finney-Smith, Tari, and then Capella and Adams, the double big. Like, that's not a great defense, and it's awful offensive. Like, who's shooting on that team? So what do we do with the lineups? I think, personally, Reed Shepherd, much as we like him, needs to come off the bench. I think Reed needs to come off the bench because they need the creation and shooting and the spacing there. I think your backcourt starting, I think, is Amen and KD. And you start DFS and just have this like mega jumbo lineup and try to figure it out. But I don't know that they'll do that. So I don't know where the bench magic is. I worry about the offense. The VanVleet loss, I downgraded the offense from 11th to 18th. 11th isn't that great to start with for a Durant team. And 18th is obviously below average. I think that there's really a lack of ceiling on the offense. And in the non-KD minutes, aka the bench minutes, or by the way, the 25 games he's going to miss because he's KD, I think the offense could be quite bad. We have proof of concept of what this team looks like without VanVleet. January 5th forward, they dropped out of the top 10 offense and defense. Amen started during that stretch. What happened? Şengün was worse without VanVleet to pair with. The bench lost its magic, and they just weren't a huge, awesome, great team. I thought the Rockets' moves were to set them up to be a better version of themselves in the playoffs. They were a fraud playoff team last year. I think they might not be now with Durant, but I thought that came at the cost of the regular season. And then the VanVleet thing happened, and I just can't be more out on the regular season version of this team. Under 53.5, it's a multi-unit bet for me. Udoka is 3-0 to the over by 5 or more wins each time. I just think it has to end here. There's too much downside on the team in the regular season.
This is exactly in the win total range. That is maybe one of the most if like it's got a wide enough sample and is good enough to actually, I think, pay attention. Teams between 52.5 and 55. And think about this. This is like, hey, you're not just a 50 win, you're a 53 win team to a 56 win team. That's a very, like that. We see a lot of teams that are expected to be at the top here. The numbers are 18 and 8 to the under on those teams. These are the teams that go under. It's high expectations, especially with a team that's adding a lot of new components with already some injury stuff. So it's an under for both of us. Eyeing
By the
home
way,
court.
minus 250 division odds, terrible. Look to invest elsewhere. And if you want to go, I don't necessarily want to go quite as low as you, I think. I think the defense does give a floor, but DraftKings has 48 wins or less at plus 265. I have them at 46, but range of 42 to 50 wins. So that's mostly in range. I think I have to at least play a little bit on that because that just seems like where I'm expecting them.
So the big change that I made to my power ratings is I actually finally figured out a way to use the data that I rely on and actually have a better impact of offensive rebounds, which I had just ignored too much on putbacks. When I factor that in and use that as my prior and then do the adjustments, I get this team within range. 52.3 on the power rating, but only 50.6 on the schedule, which still gets me to like I like this under. But it does remove like the idea of them being like my original numbers were like the Rockets are like not good, and I was like I never felt good about that. I was like, come on, man, they got Kevin Durant and Alperen Şengün. If you like this team, there is one bet and one bet only to me, and it's Alperen Şengün 400-1 to win MVP. Go get that. Go get that. That's a good bet. Tier 2, eyeing home court advantage. Your favorite, the Golden State Warriors. I knew you were wearing the shirt. 46.25. This is down 1.25 from open, which I thought was really interesting. What are your 10 words on the Dubs?
Still an inner circle title contender, but only when healthy.
Still is a strong word in that sentence.
Only when healthy. They go together.
Even when healthy,
title contenders for 1 month each year. Please be healthy at the right time. How about that?
Yeah, okay. I've come closer to consensus, but it's still no bet. I'm moving myself up on this team reluctantly. Tell me what you like and you don't like about the Dubs.
So I don't like starting 435 and over year olds. I don't love that. Let's start there. So this is the problem. Like, look, I said top 5 inner circle team when they're trying. From February 8th forward last year, 23-8, the number 1 defensive team, top 3 net rating. They jumped from bottom 3 to top 3 free throw rate. They jumped from average to number 1 in turnovers forced. It was not just Jimmy Butler. The rest of the roster played better. And then go back to the year before. January 25th forward, 28-14. Net rating, top 4. Top 8 offense and defense. Like, we see now that this team just doesn't give a rip about the regular season. They round into shape, and then they kind of figure stuff out later. And when they figure it out, it's really, really good until eventually they get hurt, and then it stops being good again. You now have Jimmy Butler. You now have Al Horford. We love both of those guys. We love what they bring to the team. I think Butler in particular, for years, this team, when Steph is off the court, is just a nightmare. You finally have some answer to that with Jimmy Butler. The defense, I think, can still be non-Thunder division, as good as anyone else when they're healthy and locked in. How much? I don't know. I don't know how much we'll get from Draymond. I don't know if Draymond and Jimmy will manage a whole season without punching each other again this year. I don't know what we get, but they're number 1 in turnovers forced with Butler. They're the number 1 defense last year. When this team is healthy, they're good. They're really good and great. We just have no idea when that will happen. And to me, if you said, turn off the injuries, let's start the playoffs right now, the Thunder are my number 1 team, and the Warriors and Nuggets are second and third, and I don't know in which order. That's how high I am on what this team is healthy, but you can't bet it because they're never going to be healthy long enough to know. And frankly, as the guy that will be watching football a lot the next few months, you can't bet this now because they have shown they're going to kind of start slow, round into form, and figure it out later. And even if I'm right that the inner circle thing is in there, it's going to get worse before it gets better. So even if you like them, you should bet them later, not now.
So I've got them projected at 50.4. I moved them up quite a bit. I made some adjustments to move them up closer. I've got them at, this is what's interesting. They're at 50.4 on power rating, but only 45.3 on schedule. They have the largest discrepancy between their power rating base win projection and schedule adjusted. And what this means is that this is a lot of, do you play the good teams on the road or do you play the good teams at home a lot, which diminishes like that advantage. It factors in 3rd and 4 and back-to-backs and those kind of situations. And so when you look at, their November schedule is fairly brutal. They've got back-to-backs 3 weeks in a row They've got games versus Denver, OKC, San Antonio, Houston, OKC again, Cleveland. That's in like a 4-week span. I've got them as one of the better teams through Thanksgiving, and then it starts to get really rocky as it goes along. And that does not pair well with their age factor. By the way, once again, shout out to apparently they've started calling this group, instead of the death lineup, the near death lineup, which is great.
Love that.
So we'll see how that kind of goes. I don't want to get involved in it. I understand where you're at and your love of this team and why you consistently trust them. I am also going to hold out on the stretch run that they made with Jimmy Butler was smoke and mirrors. It was Quentin Post having a huge night. It was Brandon Pajemski hit 6 threes. It was Draymond Green leads the league in scoring that night. Like the number of like weird ass wins that were not indicative of who this team is trying to be were rife throughout that stretch. And it's not enough for me to be like, that's fake, so they're not actually good. It's just enough for me to be like, I'm not going to over-index on the with Jimmy segment. I'm just not going to do it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that's why I'm not going to bet on it, because I am influenced here by the group think, which is everybody's like, yeah, they're going to be pretty good. And so I'm kind of like, okay, I respect that. I'm not going to fade the Dubs. I will stay away. Yeah. I do love the Al Horford edition, because who doesn't?
Yeah, I have over 45.5 as a lean. I should be like multi-unit betting this. I have them at 52 wins, range of 48 to 56, and that is with banking in injuries for Draymond and Steph and Horford and Butler. Like I'm factoring all that stuff, and that's not like a healthy projection. But for the last 5 years, they've been between 44 and 48 wins. That's right where the number is at for them. They're often under their expected wins. They've been 10th or 11th in net rating 3 straight seasons. That is not the profile of an inner circle team, and it's the regular season. And they don't care about the regular season. I might be wrong about the postseason, but that's the only thing they want, is to get there and have a shot at it. Kerr is 5-3 to the under since Durant joined the team. It's just not a team you can get too excited about investing in. I do like the division odds theoretically, because I'm down on everyone else really in contention, but it's 3-1. That number is going to get worse. So I think like this is a remind me later to bet. I have them at near 50% in the division because I'm not high on the other teams in the division. But I think it's like a remind me at Christmas that basketball is happening, and maybe I bet it like 5 or 6-1 then. It just, I know that this team is going to have like a 6-week stretch where they are as good as anyone, but you can't bet that. That's not a thing. I guess it's a bet night to night once we get there.
Yeah, the only problem is like they don't care about the regular season. They only care about the playoffs. But we've seen consistently you got to be a top 3 seed and above this certain threshold to actually win the thing. So, speaking of those other teams in the division, Los Angeles Clippers 48.2. They're up 0.67 wins, like a tree sprouting from the ground that Kawhi Leonard did not plant. What are your 10 words for the Clippers?
Don't believe in ceiling, and Clips floor might be lava.
Ooh. Mine is, unlike Kawhi, the Clippers will show up this NBA season. What do you like and don't like about them?
Yes, obviously they added a ton of guys here. Like you basically added an entire bench lineup that could be like the East play-in team. You bring in Brook Lopez, Bradley Beal, CP3, John Collins, get more Bogdanovich. There's just a lot of good dudes on the team. You have to like that. Basically, I have them factoring in about 4,000 new minutes from these guys, and they're replacing dudes that were really defense only. They were bad offense minutes. So I think that raises the floor offensively a lot, just with a lot of, look, Bradley Beal's not what he once was. Brook Lopez is old. John Collins has kind of had a hard time fitting in. These are dudes, though. These are like actual good NBA playoff-worthy players. It's competence that they're adding in. What's interesting to me that I don't think we're factoring in as well. Last year, this team outperformed my expectations by a lot. I missed on this team, and it was the defense. The defense took a huge leap. But I think, Matt, that we are collectively bumping up the offense on this team because of the new guys that we've added in without bumping down the defense that those dudes are replacing. And I know you're afraid of this. Chris Dunn was awesome for this team last year. And is he even going to play much this year? He's like the 12th man now. Derek Jones Jr. was really good. Is he going to start, or will it be John Collins and the weird, like the defense only guys that are going to be marginalized now to play better overall NBA players? I don't know if that makes this overall team better. because last year the defense jumped from 17th to 3rd overall. I think they could drop back much closer to average. We got a career awesome year out of Zubac. I don't know if we're just going to get that again necessarily. If you take away the Dunn and the Jones and others of it all, then Zubac isn't going to be as good either. So I think that the offense is raised at the cost of the defense. I kind of end up with this team around like 10th or 12th best at both offense and defense. So above average, and there is a floor, but I don't see a ceiling there at all.
Okay, I disagree with everything. So first off, like just right off the bat, I project this team at 58.3 with a 59 wins on the schedule. They're one of the 2 West teams to improve based off of their schedule. Everybody else like gets a hit where it's like, oh, you face a bunch of good teams. The Clippers actually go up. You're right on a lot of this. I think one of the things is it's like, okay, I understand the fear of you add these guys and you're taking away guys that play better defense, but we do need to think about this. Like, is Brook Lopez going to be a defensive negative? No, he's going to be a plus. So their center position inherently, the most valuable defensive position on the floor,
will be good.
Gets better. Chris is not Chris is still a smart enough defender that he's not a plus, but he's not going to be like this huge liability. You can't nobody's hunting Chris Paul, and if they are, the Clippers have the kind of guys that will make you pay for it by coming weak side on the double. You don't want the Clippers doubling you because it's like, oh God. Beal's the only guy I worry about, and that's fair. It's fair to worry about Beal. A lot of this is also, you can have redundancy like the Thunder, where, oh no, Alex Caruso's out. Casey Wallace is now going to annihilate you. Oh no, Lou Dort's out. Guess this other guy will come in and tear you to pieces. Oh, hey, Isaiah Hartenstein's got a bad ankle. Too bad Chet Holmgren's there. With the Clippers, it's different, where it's like, oh, CP3's got a bad ankle and Bradley Beal's out tonight for rest. Okay, Chris Dunn, and they'll throw in one of the young guys, Jordan Miller, I like a lot. They will compete on defense and be fine. Kawhi's entering the season fully healthy for probably the first time since 2021. It's not like I'm not worried about it. You have to be worried about it. Harden, though, is pretty much a tank. That's one of the good things about Harden is Harden will play. Harden will give you the same performance. There's 0 titles, no futures for me, no playoff stuff. But I think this team's going to win a shit ton of games before the NBA comes in and destroys them this summer. And I think that they know that, which is this is a 1-year go for it type of deal. If they had worse depth, I would be concerned. And I get the idea that they might shift a little bit in terms of hey, they were only elite last year because of the defense. Fair, but the problem is after Kawhi came back, they were elite on both ends. This was in reality the second best regular season team, and probably when we factor in playoffs, the 3rd best team in the West last year. When we look at everybody's performance from All-Star, or not even All-Star, January when Kawhi came back until the end of the season, it's Thunder, Nuggets, and then the Clippers, and then probably Wolves. That's just where we're at. So I think this is a regular season team that was absolutely going to crank. I can't say that I don't worry about the coaching. I don't worry about the depth. I don't worry about offensive production or go-to mechanics. They have shooting. They have defense. The number is too good. I will take the over. I am also going to bet it's over 47.5, 2 units. I'm going to bet the division plus 160, and I'm going to sprinkle on 55 plus wins at plus 400.
Wow. Yeah, I guess I didn't talk about this, but I'm very worried about the Kawhi of it all also.
Sure.
And to me, that's part of factoring in the lack of ceiling, because you're right, Harden is a tank, but historically I'm projecting him at about 500 less minutes this season than last year, just based on what he typically does. So if we get less Harden and maybe a lot less, or no Kawhi, I don't know what's happening with that, but that's your ceiling. All these other dudes are quality players, but stars make teams in the NBA. That's how you get ceiling, is Kawhi and Harden. There's no other star caliber on this team right now. So if you limit that, you limit the ceiling. And I think too, just it's Kawhi and it's the Clippers and all the history of both.
I know.
And the stank of just the idea of whatever that is hanging over everything. It's that maybe too soon, but
I will argue with you about.
It just feels off to me. So my only bet, to me, this is Sixers West. This is I don't know. I don't know if the Kawhi is the Embiid of it all. It's an under, but pass to me. My only Clippers bet is to miss the playoffs at plus 350. I think that there is a world where the stank they just crash out, and the West is so good that I have them like 5 to 6 seed. But if they're in the play-in and if they got the wrong guys hurt at the wrong time, I just, to me, Sixers missed playoffs was one of my best cashes last year. The number is not quite as good here, so maybe it's a wait and build it up a little bit. I just feel like there's a lot of paths downward here.
I'm adamantly going to disagree with you on the stank of it all because they don't care. Every player on this roster is like, my contract's guaranteed. I don't care if they lose draft picks. What do I care? You think Kawhi Leonard's going to be like, oh no, I'm in trouble? No, he's like, yeah, I took money. What do you want? Yeah, I didn't show up. Because he knows the NBA is not going to do anything to him. The Clippers will suffer for this in the offseason. The Clippers fans will suffer this when they lose draft picks. This team of veterans doesn't give a shit about any of this. They do not care. They are insulated from all of this. They will deal with the questions and they'll move on because there's not going to be much of anything until after the season. The NBA has already made that clear. They're not moving all-stars, so that's no longer a thing that they're going to get asked about. Whenever Pablo Torre drops a new thing, Kawhi will have to deal with it, but nobody's asking Chris Paul or Chris Dunn or anybody else about this. I'm always in favor of like things hang shadows over teams, not this particular one. This is one that
fine. Maybe I watched the clipped series 2 weeks ago finally, and maybe that's what's getting on me a little bit here.
Let's rip through this one. It's a one that we need to go in depth on, but let's rip through it real quick because they haven't changed anything. The Minnesota Timberwolves. This opened 50. It's down about a half win from open. What are your 10 words?
The NBA's only repeat top 4 team is running it back.
Mine is they're going to make the WCF again, aren't they? That's it. Like this is that team once again. I project them 56.1 wins for both, so this is a pretty easy over. I'm going to go over 49.5, which is the best number in the market. 2-unit play on it. Ant 30 plus per game, and Wolves to win 55 plus games is plus 950 over at DraftKings, and I will also bet that. Yes, it is. Like I would like to bet them higher just on the win total, but I don't have that number available to me. So I'm taking Ant 30 plus, Wolves 55 plus for sprinkle at plus 950. Just real, they're good. The defense will still be good. The offense will still be good. They lost a bunch of close games last season. Their underlying metrics were better, which is why I like them versus the Warriors. They're good. They're good. The offensive guys, Terrence Shannon, I think is going to give them a boost. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is good, but making some sort of massive downgrade on him is probably, it's reasonable based off of the metrics, but not in terms of team role and some internal improvement. They're counting on a lot from Jaden McDaniels. We'll see if that happens. But I will go ahead and take the over and trust this is going to return. Chris Finch is a great coach. I like the over.
Yeah, I lean over. I do, as a Wolves fan, of course, I have all my nihilism. So I do have a few concerns. I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker as a player is not a huge loss, but I think as the identity of the defense, just not having his point of attack defense, I think is a real thing. They do need more from Terrence Shannon and Rob Dillingham this year. And I like those guys. They'll probably be good, but they need them to be good because they got to play some minutes now. Defense last year quietly slipped from like super elite to really good. And that's not nothing. And Rudy Gobert is not going to get younger now. So to me, there's a lot of good. There's a lot to like. I have them 9th offense, 7th defense. If you're top 10 in both of those things, you're going to be a good team. I have them at 52 wins. There's few more downside paths than upside to me. So I can't get too excited. My best bet here, just because I try to come up with something, I noticed this to me, we almost kind of skipped this team because it's like, we know what they are. I notice my projections, I have them between 49 and 55 wins. It's my narrowest win total on the board, actually. Like I have some teams like 14 win swing. So at DraftKings, you can bet win ranges. So that's my bet. 48 to 51 Wolves wins at 3-1 and 52 to 55 wins at plus 370. You basically get both of those together at plus 116. And I get anywhere from 48 to 55. That's who the Wolves are. They're good, not great. They're going to be in that range. That's your 3 to 6 seed range in the West. I think that's a good way to bet Minnesota.
I love this because I have them projected at 56.1, so literally 0.1 over your number. Okay, we'll keep going here. Denver Nuggets, 53.5, no movement. This has not budged. What's your 10 words on the Nuggets?
Best supporting cast of Nikola's career, including the title team.
Mine is greatness takes time, but they ain't going to struggle at all. I'll tell you kind of the insider view here from having been out in San Diego for training camp. This is the most engaged I've ever seen Jamal Murray. I've never seen Jamal Murray this engaged on the court, off the court, both. His defensive effort in preseason games is one of the highest on the team. His engagement with mentoring the young guys, the way that he's looking for opportunities. Jamal is evolving more into Tony Parker and less of Steph Curry. Everybody wants him to be this explosive all-star guard. Well, Tony Parker was an all-star guard without being explosive, and that's a lot more what Jamal Murray looks like this season, and it looks like it's going to be a really great year for him. He has, according to everyone I've talked to, terrific synergy with Jonas Valanciunas, which is going to help that second unit. That's the big problem with the second unit is their ball handling. So Jamal's going to stagger again, and that's going to help solve that one individual problem. Bruce Brown is back to make a lot of impacts in a lot of different ways. He's just solid. No one is worried about Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson didn't stand out in training camp. Cam Johnson hasn't oh my God, he was great in the second preseason game versus the Raptors, but everybody's like, oh yeah, Cam is exactly what we thought he was going to be. This is a better, deeper team. It's in this range though at 53.5 where all the numbers are like, hey, you should probably go with an under. It does take continuity. They're probably going to struggle the first 2 months of the year. You might be able to get a better number on them early because they're integrating so many new guys, especially into an offense that's not intuitive. It's not rudimentary. That's a better way to put it. It's read and react. And once you get the feel for it, you find yourself becoming a better player. The Nugget system with Yoke makes you better, but it takes you a little bit. And there's a lot of guys that are trying to get used to that. So I project them at 57.4. I should be on in the over, but I'm going to go ahead and stay off of this. No bet, but I will tell you, once they look like as good as I think they're going to look, they're going to be a title bet for me.
Yeah, I think we're pretty in lockstep on this one. I love the moves that they made. I think from the title team, I think they have now swapped out the two worst starters on that team for two better fitting players. I think Cam Johnson is not a better player than Michael Porter Jr., but a much better fit on this team. I think his shooting and his cutting, his defense are going to add a lot to the team. I think Christian Brown over KCP long-term was the right move here. Bruce Brown basically is the Russell Westbrook improvement here. You didn't mention the name Jonas Valanciunas. I think that's a huge add for this team. The no Jokic minutes have been getting murdered for years. Now you have a dude that's like captain playing. Like the guy to just keep you afloat is Jonas Valanciunas. And I think that is a big swing for them and can help take the load off Jokic a little bit as well, give him a little time. I think the defense dropped off a lot last year. I think that was partly maybe coaching. And so I don't know about David Adelman. He looked great in the playoffs, but Michael Malone was really good, man. I'm a big Michael Malone fan. So I have them at 53 wins, somewhere in the 50s. It's a pass for me because I'm right at the number, but it's mostly a pass for me because of this. Michael Malone was 8-0 to the over and technically did not miss last year. The Nuggets went under by a game and a half, but not with Michael Malone. They got rid of him. He probably would have gone over. Jokic has won 50 wins or more 6 of the last 7 years by win rate. So all but what I call the YMCA year with the guys that he played with. So we know it's going to be. But to me, we kind of are yada-yadaing these teams at the end here because they're real good, but they know they're real good, and it's about title futures. This is the title future I want. This is, to me, my clear second title favorite, and we don't get a lot of repeat champions. Now we're about to talk about the champs. This is the team I want to take it on for later in the season to win it all.
And that would be the Oklahoma City Thunder. 62.5 is the number in the market, which is insane. No movement on it, by the way. So nobody's like, yeah, I really want to bet against that. I'll make this note. 7 of the last teams to have a win total over 55 went over. So these teams that are thought to be really great, they do tend to go over. However, there are only 6 teams that have had a win total of 60 or more. And you would not be surprised to find that's the Heat and the Warriors and I think the Spurs one time. 4-2 to the under amongst those. So 60 is a lot of wins. That's a lot of wins. And yeah, I don't think either of us is looking to fade this team. What are your 10 words?
The champs lost literally nothing and should be even better.
Mine is, it is impossible to make a serious argument against them. I'll go quick here. I will bet 70 plus wins plus 850 is how I want to bet it. I don't really want to get into the 62.5. I have them projected at 65, so over the total. it is inherent in me to be like, this is an age of parity. Nobody goes back to back. Things sneak up on you. They allowed the most corner 3-pointers last year per game or per 100 possessions, and the lowest percentage. That's going to regress. There's a good chance that the defense heads back towards third or fourth instead of being first by miles and miles and miles. I don't like how everybody's like, and they add Nikola Topic. Okay, cool. Like, I'm not sure that Nikola Topic is going to make a huge impact on this team, but they will always find wings. Like Chris Youngblood is a person I found out existed in the preseason. He dropped 20 in a preseason game because they just grow. Like, Presti just conjures them out of thin air. They're going to win a ton of games. Their coaching staff is excellent. They're still young. They can survive the regular season. Regression is not impossible. It's actually pretty likely here given historical trends, but this is an outlier type team that could be even better. This could be Warriors 2016 where they challenge for the all-time record. I want no part of that. I will only bet the furthest here was just 70 plus wins at plus 850 and call it good.
You can bet at DraftKings 76 plus wins. That's an actual option of a bet that you can actually bet on this team. Which it's like 100 to 1, but it's like an actual offering that I was like, whoa. So the crazy thing about this team is awesome, hyper elite, incredible as the defense was. They missed a bunch of Chet Holmgren games last year. They missed a bunch of Isaiah Hartenstein last year. They didn't get to play Caruso that much. Like, the defense could be better because that's what they're getting more of from those guys. Do you know that do you know what player was highest in Thunder minutes last year that is now off the roster? Can you name that player for me?
I can't.
He is 13th in minutes. That's what we're looking for.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying like he was highest in minutes. Oh,
no. Like who ranks highest among minutes and is not on the team?
I know this. Who is it?
It's Dylan Jones.
Dylan Jones, yeah. The Wizards picked him up. That's why I knew it. Yeah.
Right. 500. Yeah. We'll get to them on the next one. 551 minutes. That's what they lost. That's what they lost on this team. And they're probably going to get more Chet, more iHeart, maybe more Caruso. They might get better Chet. They might get better J-Dub this year. Matt, we have the what we like and what we don't like part. I like stared at what we don't like and was like, what do I come up with? But I figured it out. Lou Dort. Lou Dort's what I don't like about the team. I have the Thunder at projected 73 wins. That's what my net rating would have them at. So over 62.5. I put it as a lean because like I don't want to bet 62.5. It's a ridiculous number, but Dags is 4-1 to the over. And quite frankly, interesting stat, he's gone over by 10 or more wins 3 straight years. Guess what? If you go over 62.5 by 10 or more, you're going to be the all-time record holder. So you bet 70 and higher. I kind of like that one better than what I came up with, but I came up with basically the same thing. At DraftKings, I mentioned the win total ranges. 72 to 75 wins is plus 2,500. Do I dare take the extra 3x on your bet and lose out on 70 and 71? I think I dare because this team's good enough that if they get to 70 or 71, they're going to get to 72 or higher and get to these record numbers. So I'm going to play it. 72 to 75 wins. This team is ridiculous. 25 to 1 at DraftKings. And Shea MVP, we'll talk about that on the player pod.
Okay. That's going to do it. Appreciate you guys being with us. You can catch the Western Conference preview, or Eastern Conference preview, I'm sorry, up next on Tuesday. Thanks to Brandon Anderson. Thanks to David Payne for his time, his very, very valuable and long amounts of time. Make sure to check out we will be streaming these episodes at night. You just look for the link for when we're going to go live with these episodes. Appreciate you guys being with us. We'll see you guys again next time. Till then, let's get buckets.